All right. Hey, how are you? This is Stanley,
What's up, fam? It's Carl.
and this is Manage, where we're encouraging men to be leaders and embrace their varying roles in their community. Cousin Carl, what's going on today?
What's up, man? We got a somber conversation that we're about to have, but we're going to be celebrating in this conversation. We're going to talk about the untimely passing of our one of our mentors, Kevin Samuels. That's what we're going to talk. We're going to talk about the highs and the lows, and we're going to talk about some of the disgraceful bashing that's going on with a lot of content creators that are out there talking a lot of smack about this man when he was actually more of a contributor to society than most people believe he is. And we're going to talk about some of that right now.
But you know what? It's not even the highs and lows. It's just some of the things that he did. And I think a lot, again, my role or my idea of him is different than yours. We have to put that out there. I find him a little bit different. I'm the type of person where I thought he did speak more harshly than he need to. Although I personally don't have a problem with someone speaking harshly to me. I am sensitive to other people's roles and their ideas and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you have to hit them in the face with
That's
some
right.
reality.
Some people need it, and a lot of those women needed it. They needed it,
hit
man.
them in the face with some reality. And
Right.
especially today, we're not, I see as a group of people, as society, we are much more we want to be pandered to and
Soft.
coddled. And
You
I'm
can
not
say it.
doing that. So
We are
although I
surrounded
believe-
by soft ass snowflakes.
Well, again,
Yes.
although I believe in speaking to people with a certain level of respect or whatever, and maybe some don't do that exactly as I would do, I respect their voice. So for me, Kevin had an important voice as to what's going on right now. We needed to hear a certain level of not so niceness. And guess what? That is not far-fetched. It is not crazy. You have your American Idol with your Simon Cowell, who was coming at people who their living dream was to be singers, and he'll smack them into reality.
Bust him in the head.
You had your Howard Stern,
You are terrible.
let you know what it is. You had your other type of talk show host who will tell you what it is and how it is, and it was straight up. And people like that. You have your Judge Judy, who would just let you know exactly what it is.
Damn right.
Your Mr. Brown, Judge Brown. So we can go on and on. So let's get something real honest and straight here. The way that Kevin Samuels spoke and addressed things, I may not be a fan of, but the messaging, I think, needs to be in the face of a lot of people who are delusional, a lot of people who are sold a bag of goods. Me, as a man, have been sold a bag of goods that wasn't correct. And I was proud and happy to hear his voice, because his voice, in my opinion, gave us a perspective that was necessary. You don't have to buy into everything, but to say it had no value, I got 5+ million people tuning in every week that has something different to say. So yes, there was a value to it. So I'm not gonna let
I was a fan.
Disrespect it.
And I agreed with the degree of how harsh it was, because a lot of people need that harshness sometimes, because a lot of people are living in this world where they believe Disney fairy tales are true. They're not. Disney makes these movies to make you feel good, but after you watch the movie, you have to walk out of the theater and go back to reality, and they don't correlate. Disney and reality are not the same. Just like love is not the same like it is in Disney. So
no doubt. So
a lot of people needed that wake-up call.
So before we even go further than that, I want to play a clip from somebody who's one of his mentees, someone who started on the she has her own voice. Her name is Melanie King. I really appreciate her. Not only she's a beautiful soul, and she did her own. She has her own style. But listen to what she has to say as her introduction to Kevin. Okay, I'm going to cue that up right now. And this is what inspired.
Roll the film.
She was honest, and she's a person who tells you straight up what it is. And sometimes when the truth comes from a woman who says the same thing as Kevin, and there are a bunch out there, y'all don't want to hear it.
Right.
Y'all don't want to face that mirror, but sometimes it's just true. And we're talking about men too. But again, Kevin always spoke to men too. His very first beginnings was speaking about men.
That's right.
Alpha
From the
males,
beginning, he started
fake
speaking
alpha
to men.
males who pretend to be the man because they were womanizing and they have 15 women and they were lying out there telling all kinds of stuff. And when we come at this Managed podcast, we want to address the guys who are trying to be better, who are the real men who are trying to do real things. So he talked to us as well as to how we need to watch out for these women who are not so honest in how they deal with things. So with that, here's Melanie King in her introduction. Okay, so hold on.
And, you know, I found Kevin when I was in a very low place. And I didn't really have a direction. I wasn't sure what was next for me. But I remember...
Hey, turn it up a little.
I got on YouTube and came across one of his, you know, his videos, one of his viral videos. And I saw it and it was just like, gosh, he's so harsh. He's doing, you know, who talks like that? Who says this and that? But I'm the type of person where I don't judge you on first things. I don't just, you know what I'm saying? I like to see the totality of a person before I make decisions, judgments, or anything like that. So I went to his channel and I started watching his lives. And I was like, oh my gosh, this man is
sauvage.
Man is
going
in. An animal. Like he is just going off.
Going in.
At first I didn't understand it because like completely because I wasn't that wasn't my world. But as I started to listen to things and as women would call in and I would, you know, if you've ever actually listened and not just taken offense,
that's right.
You can see what he's talking about for a lot of them, for a lot of us, me included.
Just stop it right there.
That's it.
So that right there is an honest, real account of, hey, listen, we unfortunately as human beings, you know, here's some real, I'm sorry, I'm doing this right now, but it's some brain science, okay? Your brain is doing millions of things in milliseconds. And what it's drawn to are the things that we're not used to. It's trying to categorize it. So when we hear these things that are not pleasant, that are not what we're used to, but guess what? We are actually attracted to that, which is why people will watch that traffic accident. People will say, what's the tea? What's the drama? We're naturally drawn to these differences in our mind. So I like what she said, because she don't just judge. She wants to, you know, she doesn't want to judge the totality of somebody by one clip, one saying, one negative thing. She actually looked into him. And when she looked into him, what did she say? She listened. She listened to the callers, the individual people that were calling for some reason to hear from his voice. And they got told some things. As she said, some things that are true about all of us, including her. And if I play the clip, you can find it on your own. Melanie King, right?
Melanie King, check her out. Subscribe for sure.
All day. Beautiful in soul person. Not only is she just an attractive person, but that's beyond the point. She's a smart. She has something to say, and I love hearing from people that have these now follow the trend of voices. So anyway, she goes into that through that video. She did a 4-hour video as well when she's mourning him. But the thing that you need to learn is that's an example of a woman who is real with herself. She came from a hurt place. She came from where she didn't want to hear certain things, and when she heard her smack him in the face, who talks like that? Why are you so harsh? But it attracted her. And when she's heard past what she didn't like, she saw the message. So you're right. He is harsh. Harsher than I would be. Harsher than I'm comfortable with. But not harsher than you, Cousin Carl, because you're all about that type of stuff. That's fine. But the messaging, the importance of, I'm going to tell you the truth that you don't want to hear because no one's telling you that truth. There's a place and space for that. Let's be real.
And the good thing about it is that she was receptive to it, you know, instead of being, oh my God, he's so disrespectful. misogynistic, she listened to what he said and she got the message. And the positive thing for her moving forward, she was able to implement that change in her life, and it made her life that much better for her to be able to do the things that she's doing right now. So I say thumbs up to her for that, for sure. So right now we're going to show that clip on Kevin Samuels on Joe Budden's, and it gives you a so with all that's going on with everybody hating on Kevin, everybody hating on Kevin, right? We want everyone to understand one of the many things that he was able to break through and share with us for people to understand on how a lot of people, like I said, have been living this dream, this Disney dream, because they were given, I don't know, a bag of gold that wasn't gold. And so we're going to give you a little bit of an explanation of that. We're going to show you what Kevin Samuels normally talking about and trying to help bringing women back to reality. So,
well, you know what? Let's go a little bit broader than that. It's not about women. It's all about people. And this started again. He started on, from what I understand, 2015 is when he started doing his social media campaigns, and he was on social media more.
Really, it was about image consulting.
I know, but that's always been his thing for a certain period of time. About 2015 on is when he was on. That's how you could find him on YouTube and find him on different things. It wasn't until a certain 2 or 3 videos went viral, you saw the whole body of stuff coming up.
Yeah, that was
right during COVID. So
2018.
I'm just only mentioning this right now to just say. Right. What you're going to hear, I want you to zone in on it. It's going to be kind of long, but listen to what he's saying, how we were sold a bag of goods. Now, not just females, men too, but sold a bag of goods of what it's supposed to be. And we, unfortunately, let's get real, the TV right now is the Twitter sphere. These things are raising people's consciousness. They're raising your ideas. They're raising your kids. The cell phones are more influential and impactful than the family and the parents.
TikTok, Instagram.
All that. So when he's talking about listen, before we had all that, we had magazines. We had other media before the immediate cell phones. We're going to get to the cell phone stuff later on. But the magazines and how these conglomerates of magazines were trying to get you and how they got you. That's important.
The magazines used to be the endorphins. They used to be the likes was from the magazines. The magazine was the Bible to a lot of women. And what he's going to talk about is an explanation of it. Go ahead.
All right.
It's typically college educated, mid-30s. And they realize that I'm Generation X. I say we were lied to. We were sold a bill of goods. I talked about how Cosmopolitan Magazine marketed a lifestyle to women. They wanted to be the Playboy of women. I did a broadcast about that 2 months ago, talking about the book Subverted, how they openly admit that we lied to a generation of women just to sell you products. I don't begrudge us for how we got here, but we got to acknowledge if 1 out of 4 of you in our community, if 1 out of 4 women will marry anybody, black women will marry anybody, that means 3 out of 4 of you will die unmarried. That matters once you are past hot girl summer and once you pass your earning potential. Once all that stuff is gone, then what? And see, that's what started to happen. And it's all been conversation until that. If you went to the grocery store in March of 2020, the first time I'd ever seen fear in women's eyes is when they were there. Because what I tended to see in Atlanta, in the grocery store, I tended to see a lot of guys. But unfortunately, when I saw a black woman, I tended to see her there, no ring on, and panicking, no water, no toilet paper. I'm like, this is like the real live Book of Eli, Walking Dead. This is what it looks like when the world that men built that you don't need stops running. And I don't just talk about things from just a look standpoint and this and that. I say, okay, many women don't really understand what they need a man for outside of provision and sex. But the pandemic showed that, you know what? Having somebody to the right of you to help for many other things is valuable. That's why this show is kind of picked up. Now, who are the women that typically are upset? One, the women who typically know they're not trying to be anywhere other than a partner. The word submission is a curse word. The word, it's all these newfangled things. The women who tend to be making more than the average woman who actually thinks being with a man limits her versus frees her up. I'm like, all right. And the net of it, I ask all women, even women who say don't like me, are they coming into interactions with men in good faith?
I love that.
Or is they already coming in thinking that something's going to go wrong? Or are they coming in with fear and scarcity and lack in their mentality? Is there any hope when you deal with a man, or is it always, I want a man who's this whole laundry list of stuff, to where he's having to deal with issues, traumas, things that you've not resolved in your past, and you take that to the next man and you say, all right, then what is he going to get in exchange for that? Me.
Yep. Yeah, I'll let you hand that. You can start off.
That's
real.
That's reality. I have yet to see the last 2 years, and there's been more in the last 2 years. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I'm on social media, and the very strong women that are about their life. They're all everybody's a queen. Everybody's a queen bee. Everyone's a boss. The new song, everyone's a boss chick.
Everybody's a boss.
Everyone's a boss chick.
Everyone
queen.
Is able to queen. Yes, queen.
And not everybody's a queen because you say you are. What things are you doing? And to me, again, I'm not on the misogynistic stuff. I'm not on the women can't run a household. Of course, we got strong women, strong Black women that run it, that handle it. But as he said, what is your approach? For those who don't know, I deal in families. I deal in conflict, high level, not very nice conflict between husbands and wives, children's mothers and fathers of children who just can't get along, among other things. And 2,000-3,000 cases in, 10,000 of families I'm talking about the last 20 years I'm dealing with. And it's true. What's the man and what's the woman bringing to the situation, bringing to the conflict? What is her role? What is his role? And for a lot of what I've seen as a professional, I teach it, I see it, I try to deal with it all the time. I got no problem with conflict. I welcome it, no big deal. But it's true. The approach of these women is immediately, how are you going to serve me? How are you? Again, I'm so sorry for all the unicorns out there who are going to say, that's not me. That's not how I do it.
I would never.
That's not you. We're not talking about you. Talk about yourself in your own little bubble. But talk about to your friends. How many of your friends are like, girl, you crazy. Girl, you nuts. Oh, I would never do that because guess what? There are hurt people, and dudes have been doing wrong. Alpha males out there who profess to be all that have taken advantage of
100%.
100%. But there's a lot of good guys. There's a lot of men trying, and they're being smacked down, not to even try because they can't. Because you know what? The approach is, y'all ain't X. Y'all can't do this. But guess what? I'm telling you right now, the roles of how things have been has flipped, and now we have these our female counterparts, and there's a lot more women than there are men that are vying. They're trying to regain, and it's like, listen, we gotta pump our brakes. What's your approach? Coming from scarcity, lack thereof.
That statement that a lot of men are talking out to women. What do you bring to the table? And women are getting outraged with that statement. What do you bring to the table?
Well, it's a funny part because that was what they would say to men. Because guess what?
No, wait, no. They didn't say what you bring to men. They did the whole interview process with them. Where do you work? How much do you make? Do you have a house? So they never went, what do you bring to the table?
I do believe, and I'm very rare in that, I do believe a man's role is to handle certain things. Gender roles are important. I'm so sorry. It is.
I agree.
So guess what? The way I feel, yes, I'm gonna. With me, yo, with guys I know, oh, you will be protected, no doubt. We're going to make sure that you are, and we're going to make sure that the bulk of it is you are going to provide. And I have some connections, some associates, some friends. They're not making as much as their wives, but even if that's not the case, they have a sense of providing for, meaning not providing maybe financially because she might make 60, 70, 100,000 more, but providing doesn't just mean a bigger paycheck. It means how do you divvy up that paycheck? How do you use it? What do you see is important? And they have a joint effort in that. But I'm also going to profess, meaning, hey, this is my spot, my area, my wife. I'm going to take care of these kids, mine. So yes, the right male will do all of that. But guess what? If you're of a certain age, 35 and over, you're going to get interviewed. You're going to do all this. At the end of the day, okay, I'm doing this all. I will take that role. What are you bringing? And that's what he just said.
That's right.
Me. Well,
I'm coming with my vagina and my boobs.
No, don't do that. There's more than that.
Except
it's the eyelashes too. It's the eyelashes.
Oh, you can't forget about them lashes. You can't forget about the lashes.
You can't forget about the hair that we can't be we can't do nothing with. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
But we sidetracked. We're getting sidetracked. So what we're gonna get into right now is when Kevin was talking about Cosmopolitan, that magazine, we're gonna cue up a video showing one of the writers that expressly shares the information that she used to put out and how it and why they did it.
And what's important with Ellen Browder, you have to understand this. This is not opinions. This is what the top magazine, again, you have to understand, your mom, I'm not sure the age group that's watching this demographic, but if you're in your early 20s, what set you up is hanging out or watching or listening to your parents, which might be your mother, your auntie, your grandma, who are in their 40s. And what were they listening to and watching and reading? The magazines that the number one magazine for women, the top, hundreds of millions of dollars set up. And guess what that magazine set up? It set up all the other magazines, the smaller ones. Even if those magazines, the smaller ones, was segmented exactly for the brown skin, the dark-skinned woman, the light-skinned woman, whatever demographic it is, that one top magazine was Cosmopolitan. Then you had your Mademoiselles. Then you had your Vogue Fashion. Then you had your Ebony's. Then you had your Jets. Then you had your other magazines we can talk to that were more local. But if you're a magazine, and I assisted with some magazines, we're following the model of the big boys. You're following the model of the top ones. And it's interesting to see what were they doing? How were they influencing a culture? That genre magazines created culture. They created want. They created need. And y'all don't understand. They got y'all. So here it is. Hold on.
Roll the film.
Again, Edith Bauer. It's pretty. I love stuff like this. History is important, people. History is important.
Propaganda, I can spot it in a minute because it's just a bunch of lies. No, propaganda is a very sophisticated, it's half-truth, selected truth, and truth out of context. Is used not to sell just products, it's also used to sell ideas. The feminist movement and the sexual revolution were two radically different movements. The feminist movement was fighting for equal opportunity for women in education and the workforce. The sexual revolution was fighting for all sorts of sexual freedoms. Cosmo, we pretended that this sexual revolution was a freedom for women. It actually was not. It was actually kind of a slavery, but we pretended it was freedom for women. And over time, as the sexual revolution and the women's movement got identified closer and closer together, a lot of women began to buy into that illusion.
That's that first clip. Again, sexual revolution, equality for work and environment, and equal pay. They melded them together. They put them together for a certain agenda. And Kevin mentioned that. He mentioned it briefly. He has an entire show on, hey, listen, y'all will show stuff. I will show stuff. They put it in our mind consistently as to what's acceptable.
How things were supposed to be, how women were supposed to act, behave, dress. All that came from the magazine.
It's so funny because I think we're gonna get into that things a little bit further. But they're like the lies that were being told are even deeper. So hold on.
So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let her tell you about herself, a little bit of her bio.
And I think the importance of the bio is this ain't no person that has a grudge. She stopped working for them, and because she was asked so many questions, she got into here's the lie I told. Again, when you want to watch more about her, we're not going to read the whole thing about her. She was into her religious belief, everything like that. You can watch it yourself. But listen to her bio and how she even started to address these lies that she was, geared and prompted to be told.
I wrote for Cosmo for about 20 years. I came out of J School, University of Missouri School of Journalism. I was trained very well to be a good reporter, and then I immediately fell from grace and started writing lies for Cosmopolitan Magazine. I was fascinated with Cosmo, and I was fascinated with glamour and sophistication. And I always said I didn't want to be a big fish in a small pond. I wanted to be a small fish in a big pond. And, Cosmo was that big pond, and I was the little fish.
Yeah,
Ellen Browder was the editor of Cosmo. She's the one that took Cosmo and turned it from a general interest magazine into a sex rag.
And it's a magazine to help this young woman realize dreams, hopes, ambitions, to help her find a man, keep a man, get him back if he's going, get a new one if he left.
Should I stop it there? Because I like that right there.
Yeah, that was straight.
All right.
But yeah, man, that magazine was like the truth to women. They were rushing to get that thing I think it was once a week it came out or something like that.
But also the interesting part is people are gonna say, yeah, but look at the magazine. It didn't cater to us, the black women, the brown skin women. Yes,
that's not true.
Because y'all were still buying it. Your mothers, your grandmothers were still buying it. They did buy the Jet magazines, the Ebony magazines, but those magazines,
bought all of them. They got Cosmo, they got Jet, they got all of it.
It started with the Cosmo. And what's interesting about her, go ahead and find that clip yourself. That clip, she actually went into how they had directives. Here's what we want you to do. We want you, if you're not an expert, make it up.
Yep. Make up an expert.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They full on lied to society on how things were supposed to be. And we're going to get into a final clip with her, and it goes in depth with the reason why they did what they did and the purpose of it. And after we do this clip, we're going to have more conversation about it and let you know more of where Kevin Samuels was coming from.
Why all of this hijacking of the women's movement? Money. Why was Cosmo so successful? Because it attracted advertisers. Why did it attract advertisers? Because it worked. When a young woman, an insecure young woman, reads these magazines and thinks that she has to have perfume, cosmetics, hair products, beautiful clothes, singles travel, abortions, contraception. When she thinks she has to have all of these things, she's going to spend a lot of money. What these magazines are doing, and what now the internet and everywhere, turning a woman into a commodity. She's got this picture of herself on herself. It's all about me. If you can convince a woman that everything is about her, then she has to buy a whole bunch of stuff to make herself so wonderful. If inside she knows who she is, she doesn't need all that stuff. Now there's the other side of it. I say we're all liberated. Are we?
Are we?
So on one hand, yes, we can go to college, we can get a degree, we can be doctors, lawyers, engineers, we can do all this stuff, we can make all this money. But how liberated are we if our girls have got that in their pocket before they can even think?
Ooh!
Fire.
Ooh!
It's been
All
fire.
that in their pockets before they can even
think.
Wow.
So you got these little kids, little girls walking around with these cell phones attached to TikTok,
watching their mama, hot girl
Instagram,
summer, watching their mama.
selfies, waiting for those likes, taking the sexual pictures before they're even old enough to even know what sex really is. And so the new Cosmo is the cell phone, the Twitter, the Instagram, and all that stuff. And a lot of young people, we'll say people, because some of the men are involved in it too, are living in a dream world. They're thinking that they're the most, and this is what I talked about in the podcast before. There's so many women that used to be in a small town and would date whoever was in the neighborhood and then get married and have kids. But now because of social media, that same small town girl has access to 250,000 followers. She can post a picture and get flown out, and they're not flying you out to build a relationship. They're flying out because they want to have sex with you. They know what your body looks like. Whereas Ted or Jeff in the neighborhood liked you because he knew who you were. He wanted to be with you. But because of social media, these women have access to all these people across the country to get involved with, and being sold a dream, getting flown to Maldives or Paris, drinking, eating, driving in these nice cars for a temporary moment, then they're sent back home to live in reality.
Because I don't think anything is wrong with that, as long as they understand it. And what's happening is
Bruh,
what
they don't
she
understand.
said. No, hold on. They do. They're grown people. But the problem that I want to get, because I want to make sure we say on the Kevin Samuels thing, is when he's letting them know, some of y'all doing that type of thing, thinking, I deserve it. It's my turn. It's about me now. Because I got hurt, or my mother got hurt, or my parent got hurt, and now I'm the queen, like all my other friends. And that's the only problem I got. Again, I don't like the way he was harsh and things. I don't agree with all that. But I do agree that the conversation's real. The conversation has to be had. And the people that he's having.
Like, Kevin Samuels was having.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, right,
it needed to happen. The tone was a little bit different than what I think should be done. But again,
needed it.
Everyone has their own, so it is what it is. Because at the end of the day, the messaging, if you listen to it and you don't get your feelings hurt, what is something that needs to be said on some degree? You don't need. I'm sorry. All this participation award for everybody. Everyone's number one. What? No. Everyone's not number one. No, we're all not queens and queens. No, I'm not the best looking, but I'm gonna do the best I can with what I have. That's the conversation. Correct. No. So instead of saying what I feel, I'm an 11 out of 10. I'm smooth. Right. I'm a good cousin. I'm a good 6.5. Don't play with me. I'm a good solid 6.5. Oh wow! But you know what's okay. I'm not going for you.
I can't, brother. I can't judge you because I can't. Let the market judge you. I don't know.
Hey. That's my point. My point is I'm not gonna walk into the room saying I'm a 10 because I'm
a king.
Oh no.
King me.
I feel that, but I know that might not be everyone's opinion, and I'm okay. Keep your opinion because I know my mom thinks I'm a 10.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But everyone out there that was mad at him, they're mad because the people who called in, who felt like 10s, were acting like 3s. He knocked them down.
Bop, bop, bop. You are not no 10.
They were acting like 3s.
Yeah.
They thought, let me over talk, let me shout, let me shout the head movement, let me get on
rah, be disrespectful. Okay. Yeah, he knocked them down a couple pegs. There's a lot of podcasts out there where the guys are walking the streets and they're talking to women, asking them, what on a scale from 1 to 10, what do you think you are? They're actually saying, yeah, we're 10s. And then the question after is like, do you think anyone's perfect? And they're like, no. And so he goes, do you think everyone has room for improvement? They're like, yeah. And so he was like, so how can you say you're perfection if you just said that people have room for perfection? And they're like, no, we don't mean like 10 all the way around. He was like, well, that's what the question was. If you're from a scale from 1 to 10, what do you feel you are? 10 being the highest. And they're like, well, you know, like that's being positive about yourself. Come on, come back to reality. You are not a 10. Let's get it together. But I think Kevin Samuels' purpose was actually greatly unappreciated by a lot of people, because some people would call in on that show wanting the world. I saw one episode where this woman was talking about she had 3 kids from 3 different baby fathers, and she wanted a high value man. And Kevin was, I mean, damn near baffled. Like, how do you feel you deserve a high value man with you have 3 baby daddies and 3 different kids? So that means that's 3 times you didn't think properly in the decision making of your relationship. And so now you have 3 children that have fathers that probably don't want to be in their lives because of the decisions that you make. Come on. Come on.
I think in that video, she said, "Are you available? Can I holler at you?" Like, girl, you make bad choices.
Get out of here.
You know, it's not, you know what? I want to also address this. I've seen a lot of people who like trying to, you know, be mean to him. Go, oh, he said marriage is the ultimate institution and you as a woman should strive to be married. And look at him. He got along with a one-night stand. Here's the difference. He died in a situation like he came in.
Happy.
In the body of a woman, happy.
He came out the vagina and died in the vagina.
I'm just saying this. There's a difference between a person who's
allegedly
who's in his 50s, been married twice, had experienced life. You want to call him a failure? Great. You want to call it a growth opportunity? Great. But guess what? He's in the position in his life where he's happy with who he is, has done his work, has some pains. We all have pains. But he responded to people asking him his opinion that was valuable to millions. Didn't make thousands happy. Didn't make tens of thousands happy. Absolutely correct. But he made millions happy because of what he came from. So guess what? He got alone. That was his choice. And maybe second marriage that was over 5-6 years ago, taking his time. But until then, he's in the situation where he can take his time. And guess what? At that age, he chose to be there. A whole rainbow to do with. He can go in again, and it's anybody. I don't want to get into it's better to be a man than a woman. I don't want to do all that arguing because I don't believe that part of things. Everyone can. That's one thing I didn't agree with. You can be 40 years old and be valuable to some people. He did the whole 35 in your leftover. I don't believe.
No, but you weren't. You're not understanding what he wasn't saying that they weren't valuable. He said you're
leftover.
No, your sexual market value has diminished, and your reproductive value has diminished. Once a woman hits the age of 35 and older, her egg count goes down, and her ability to carry a baby to full term has diminished. So that's what he was talking about.
And that's fact. And yes, that is correct because the women
that's what he was talking about.
That were calling his show, that was texting him, they want to be 38 years old, single for several years, want a high value male. And the high value man they have, part of their criteria for the high value man, he's making 6 to 7 figures, they're part of the 1%, and they did not have children because those women wanted a man that didn't have potential baby mama drama. And I remember several shows where he was like, if you want a high value man, and we define a high value man with making the upper echelon, the upper level of 6 figures to 7 figures, not married, between the ages of mid-30s or early 30s to late 40s, that man wants a family. He wants a family, and I know that's what I said. So that's what I think he mentioned. So if you're on the south side of 35 years old, going towards 40, then that high value man who's, you said, the one that's never been married, makes 6-7 figures, you want that guy. Is that man looking for you? Because he may want 3 kids. So that's what I think it came from. And people are insulted by that. Well, that's not insult. That's not insult. That's just what it is.
It's reality.
What it is.
Most high value men that are in the older ages and they're making plenty of money, have no kids, they're wanting kids. They're going to want kids from someone who's younger, and it's going to be a healthy child
Not even
process.
that.
They're not
Someone
gonna,
that's going to give them 3 kids in 7 to 8 years. And if you're
Correct.
35 years old, if you're
not gonna happen.
38 years old, if you're 42 years old, and you're a bad chick, you still bad, you got your money, you're bad, are you gonna pop out 3 kids for this high value male? From 42 years old until 52 years old, be pregnant at your age, and mostly
probably not healthy.
I know plenty of women that are at that 38-year-old, 40-year-old, and they're now at the partner level of their firm. They now have reached the echelon where being out for random Braxton Hicks situations and pregnancy may not be as viable. That's not what I'm saying. It's just what happens. We know if you got, I know plenty of female lawyers, plenty of female executives. I know plenty, and them having a child. I remember being in my 20s, late 20s, working for a very high-end firm. And me and one of the named partners, I'm not gonna say her name actually, obviously, but I remember she turned 42, and I was 28. I already had our children were the same age, okay, toddler age, 2 or 3 years old, and she says she got pregnant at 38. It's so hard. She's on her 3rd nanny in 5 months, and she has to leave. She has to leave work, because that ain't work out. She has to go pick up her child. She's a partner. Now, the advent of, that was 20 plus years ago. So that 42-year-old partner of a firm, law firm, is different than now. More firms have accommodated women in their family situations. So it's a little bit different. And we are working from home now. But still, if you know about law, you know about executives at a certain level, blue chip companies, you're grinding 8 hours on the light side of things. Get ready for trial. Get ready for that presentation. Get ready for big client XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough for women.
Yeah.
Men have to step up and do their role too, of course.
Absolutely.
I'm all about that. I'm all about that. But let's be real. It is a different struggle. And I think that high value man versus the women who say they want a high value man, even if they are also making their 6 figures or near there, I'm sorry, you being in your early 30s versus you being in your late 30s to early 40s, it's a different game. Do not stop playing like it's the same. It is not. It is not.
Yeah,
and that's what that's the one thing I did like he was saying. It's not the same. Stop playing like you're 22 years old. And you're a hot girl.
And that's what he'd say. He would say, your 24-year-old self, you cannot compete with you. Your 34-year-old self can't compete with you as a 24-year-old. He said, when you were 24, you were at your peak of your sexual market value. He said you were able to attract the most attractive man at the age of 24, but now that you're 34 and older, you're not the same person. So you're not going to be able to attract the same pool. And I mean, he got even deeper with that part of the conversation, how a lot of single moms are competing with their daughters in the sexual market because they're older and they're still wanting to be with men, but the men that they want are being attracted by their daughters. So it's a whole, I mean, this man, his conversation, it was genius. Listening to what he said, it changed my perspective on a lot of things, listening to him. And it opened doors in my mind on a lot of what was going on in the world. And then it helped me to see going forward where I was going with me. So
I know a lot of men who value him because they got told that it's okay to pump the brakes on certain things. It's okay to recognize certain things. It's okay to say, "Hey, I like you. I saw your online profile, or I saw you at that networking event, and I'm attracted to wanting to get to know you more." And they were being interviewed as the man. What's your aspirations? How many kids do you have? Oh, you have 2 kids. Oh my God, you're a no-no. Well,
do you own your house?
We can interview you too.
Right.
And he allowed people to realize, men, interview her too.
Men have standards.
She's on an interview. Let her know that she has to help you. And again, his whole idea of being a helper, women, I'm not gonna get into all that, but definitely I provide something. You need to provide something.
Right.
So what is it going to be? Because I want to interview. You want to see my credit score. Well, I got to see
Right.
your credit score too.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are we doing over
He
here?
made it clear men have standards. Men, and unfortunately, when the truth came out that men have standards, a lot of women took offense to it. They're like,
yeah.
what? What do you mean? So what if I'm overweight? Accept me for who I am.
But yeah,
so what
they
if I
won't
have
accept a man for
masculine
who he is.
energy? Accept me for who I am. Masculine energy. I don't want your masculine energy, girl. I need a feminine woman.
Okay,
And those
so
standards were an issue.
wrap this up, son. Let's wrap this up. So what do you want to say in closing?
Well, in closing, I appreciate Kevin Samuels. Rest in peace, brother. You were an extreme impact to the world, and you made the difference for a lot of men, helping them to do better. And I hope we can, with this podcast, continue your legacy and help men to do better and make the right choices for themselves and be positive in this world.
Again,
And I hope women listen more to understand and not just to respond.
Well, my closing is, again, I did not agree with his tone, did not agree with certain things, but I'm also of a mindset of everyone has their own different approach. So some people can receive certain approaches a certain way, and at the end of the day, his approach did affect millions of people in a positive way, not an as negative way. There are some that were negative, and those that it affected you negatively, examine that. Examine that. It was just an opinion. If it was negative because it was true, was the mirror on you? Was it bad in the mirror time and you didn't like it?
They need therapy.
Or was it like, because honestly, that's what it is. I got my personality, former musician, former athlete, coming from a harsh culture that speaks harshly. I'm okay with it. I like that grind. Get on me. Make me accountable. So I'm okay with it. But I have to recognize that other 15 people around me may not be. But if that's the case, why? Why? Is the conversation less valid? No, it's not. To me, it lets you know more about who you are when you can't receive it. If you're on your grind and you're trying your best, then who cares what he has to say?
Right.
But if you're lacking, if you're slacking, if you're coming from a place not of abundance, but scarcity, and you're on that fake, I'm sexy, fake, I'm a hot girl, I'm going to fake until I make it. I'm going to put all kinds of body stuff going on, and I'm going to buy body shapers to make myself feel good about myself. Okay, cool. Do all that. But be real with it. Announce it. Don't be like on some secret stuff. And I like
You're going to announce body shapers?
What?
They're going to announce their body shapers? Hey, I'm wearing a body shaper?
Some of them say that, hey, I'm doing this. It feels good. Some may feel like that they can do that. And those that can't feel that they can do that, cool for them, because they're still on their grind. They're still in the gym at 6 a.m. They're dedicated here, and the results will show. So go do what you have to do for you to get yourself right. But if you're fine with how you are, and if how you are is a certain way, rock with that too. And again, but be real. That's what I liked about that. Be real with it. Don't be delusional. Don't be mad at someone else if they point something out to you. So that's what I gotta say. So I'm all about, again, he's a person where regardless of how harsh and hurtful you might take him, that medicine was real for a lot of people that needed to get slapped in their face. Bam! Hey, wake up. Wake up. Stop playing with yourself. Let's go. You gotta do better. Let's do better today. And I guarantee you this, if you're a person that can be accountable, who can own up to it and be genuine, nothing wrong. You nothing but blessings after that. So with that, those who don't like what we said, comment. Those who don't like what we said, comment, share,
like it, subscribe, share it.
Let us know what you think. It's all
we all we got, fellas. We all we got. We gotta hold each other up. We all we got. Let's keep each other strong. Listen, we here. If you need some help, you need some comments, some assistance, hit us up, send us a message, and we get this thing done.
Let's make it
Managed
happen.
Podcast, baby.
Peace.